One of the things that the Mavericks got done yesterday was sign Reggie Bullock. So right now, we bring on Mike's buddy and our New York Knicks insider, Jonathan Macri. How are you this afternoon?
I'm doing great. Thanks for having me on. I think, still reeling from what was, I think, a whirlwind first night in free agency. It seems like things are dying down a little bit now, but, still got some names on the board, but excited to talk a little bit of Reggie and a little bit of free agency with you guys.
Have you Googled Evan Fournier yet? Because I've been told that if you do that, it's never Google. Okay, have you done that, though?
I had the misfortune of doing that when he sent out that tweet earlier in the year, and I'm just happy neither of my kids were around my phone when I did that. That's all I have to say.
Thank you very much.
How much do you feel like you grew up that day when you read about that?
You know what? I feel like it's great that he's in on the joke because, a lot of guys might not necessarily be thrilled about the fact that is what comes up when you Google their name. But he seems like a nice guy, happy to roll with it. So we're happy to have him aboard as well.
Now, what should we expect out of Reggie Bullock? Because I heard perhaps you said that Mavs fans are going to love him. What is it about this player that we're going to like so much?
It's a little boring to say it, but the word that comes to my mind, having watched him, he's been under contract for 2 years, but really it was this year that we really got a sense of him. It's consistency. You know what you're going to get every night from Reggie Bullock, pretty much at both ends of the court. I'll say, for Reggie, this year, obviously you guys know Tom Thibodeau. He's known for his defense. And there's a lot of different components that went into the Knicks winding up with a top 5 ranked defense this year. But I would say the most unheralded component of it was Bullock because, R.J. Barrett, as I've talked to Mike about in the past, took some nice steps forward this year, very high hopes for him. He was not the guy guarding the other team's best opposing wing player. That was Reggie Bullock, night in and night out. He got that assignment. He always took to that assignment very well. He's not going to go ahead and shut down your Kawhi Leonards and now he doesn't have to shut down Luka, but those guys of the world. But he's going to make them work. And the most important thing I think for Tibbs and something that I gather Jason Kidd's going to value a lot is he doesn't make mistakes, which is why, again, you know what you're going to get. And then on offense, I would say it's kind of a tale of two seasons for Bullock. He started out okay. Right up until a few games before the All-Star break, he was taking 4.5 threes a game, hitting him at 30%, 38%. Those are okay numbers. And then my understanding, and I reported it at the time, there was a conversation that took place involving Julius Randle and him, in which Julius basically said, "Listen, if I pass you and you're open, shoot the ball." Because I think there was a little bit of, he was not gun shy, but he wasn't really, letting it fire away. From that point forward, March 4th until the end of the year, the 4.5 attempts a game went up to 7.6, and his percentage increased from 38 to 42.5. Something clicked for him in the middle of that season where he just started letting it fly. And from that point forward until the end of the year, I would argue, other than Randall and Derrick Rose, you could say Reggie Bullock was their third most important player.
Jonathan, when it comes to those 6 attempts that he took last year, where does Reggie like shooting the three-point ball? So when we see Luka create offense for Reggie, where is he going to have his happy spots?
He's not a corners. He could hit shots from the corners. Don't get me wrong, but the nice thing about him is you could really move him around the arc. I would say foul line extended between there and top of the key. Mostly foul line extended though. The play that I think New York Knicks fans got very accustomed to seeing last year is the 2-man game where there would be Julius Randle and Reggie Bullock on the strong side. And it would be cleared out. Everybody else would be on the weak side of the court, and those two would just run a 2-man game. And they almost got to the point where, and this is why Luka is, he's going to have a mind meld with Reggie. I could tell already. They didn't even have to look at each other. They would, Randall would like tap his butt or something, and then he would just kind of flick a pass behind him as he was getting into that long 2 zone, which again, as I know we've talked about, Randall became very effective from. So defenses had to honor that, but then you'd have Reggie right behind him, and he would start firing away. That's really, I think, his sweet spot.
Are you disappointed he's not coming back to the Knicks?
Yeah, I am to a certain extent. I think so. The downside here is I don't know how much you guys got. I know, Mike, you watch a little bit of the Hawks series where we were kind of, they wiped the floor with us a little bit. That series is not why Reggie Bullock isn't a Knick anymore, but I believe what he wasn't able to do in that series is why he's not a Knick anymore, and why Evan Fournier is at almost double the price tag. The Hawks were able to put Trae Young on him, and essentially it was like he kind of turned into a gargoyle. There was one play that sticks out where I think Trae Young went for a steal, and he missed it, and he was literally behind Reggie, and Reggie was there on the 3-point line with a red carpet in front of him to the basket, and that's just not his game. And so to answer the question, yes, I'm going to be disappointed because I think he was a valuable member of the team, but I think for their particular roster construction, they needed a little bit more creation at that other starting wing spot next to RJ Barrett.
All right, and so that's something that we've probably been upset about a lot around here, is that once the ball gets out of Luka's hands, a lot of the guys can't create on their own. They're catch and shoot guys, and that's what they're going to be asked to do. You're saying then that that's not part of we shouldn't be expecting him to come in and take on that responsibility.
It's not in his comfort zone.
Okay.
Let's just say that. I mean, another guy that you guys are going to have back. Shout out to outdoing the still Steve Mills offer sheet, by the way, on the Timmy contract. I love the fact that it was a couple million more. A lot of Knicks fans who critique that signing are eating a little bit of crow today. Timmy could do that. That's obviously in Timmy's wheelhouse. And you guys have Jalen Brunson as well. Reggie's he just wants to fire away. But I think, is there, and I'll ask you guys, do you see roster, a roster construction or a rotation construction where you could have those 3 guys on the floor together, Luka, Timmy, and Reggie? Because I actually think those 3 would work pretty well together.
Yes. No, I could absolutely see that.
Yeah, but I mean, there's 2 guys that aren't creating on their own. Like they're going to be shooting, so Luka's going to have to do that again, and that's something that we're begging for, right? Is somebody else that can take that load off of Luka if need be. If they say we're going to double him, we're going to triple him, we're going to blitz him, somebody's got to be able to do something, or at least hit those shots whenever they're given the wide open ones. Here's the other thing, Jonathan, I'm really curious about. How screwed are we with the Kristaps Porzingis situation? Because Mike tells me every day that we're done.
Man, it's funny. If you had asked me, what was it, January of, I'm losing. Has it been 2 years? Time just flies by when you don't have Kristaps.
2.5 years.
Yeah, I knew Mike was going to say 18 or something like that.
Yeah, so if there's one thing I did not think that I would be saying 2.5 years after that trade is that we would be completely and totally comfortable with the fact that he was no longer on our team, and here we are. I mean, look, you guys know as well as I do, there's no such thing as an untradeable contract in the NBA. You could always move someone because there's always someone that has a similar contract that maybe they don't want. I think it's kind of a lesser version of the Ben Simmons question, right? Do you trot him back out there to start next season and hope that he, shows a little bit more proficiency than he did at certain points last year? But then you run into the health question, like what if he gets hurt after you start the year? I don't know, but I agree with you guys, and I talked to Mike about this a lot. The ceiling is not going to be reached on Luka's career as long as he's there.
Okay, well, things are going so well, but then we had you talk about KP. So, look at the time. No, seriously, though, appreciate the insight for better or for worse. Very, very much, man.
My pleasure. you guys have a wonderful young player in Luka Doncic. We don't have to talk about the other guy. I would say I hope for the best for the Dallas Mavericks in the near future. But we do own your draft pick in 2023, so I would be a little bit disappointed.
All right, hang up on him. Hang up on him, then. All right,
it's
bye,
lottery
Jonathan.
protected, Jonathan. We're okay.
Yeah. All right.
Top 10.
Top 10. Okay.
Bye, Jonathan.
Be well.